Hello there, this is Welsh ASMR 82. Hey, how you doing? So in today's video I'm going to be looking at the, if this thing works, the African Cup of Nations and also the Asian Cup. I've watched every single game so far, either live or just the, I caught up last night before making this video. I watched all of the highlights, all the matches I missed for both tournaments. So apart from those going on right now, Tanzania, Morocco and later tonight I'll probably give that a watch. I'm interested in DR Congo. Yeah, I've seen all of them so far. So I'm going to give my little synopsis of this tournament so far, talk about some of the results and give my predictions, which should be quite interesting. Do get involved, drop me a comment, tell me who you think is going to win the African Cup of Nations this year and who you think is going to win the Asian Cup in this particular edition of the tournament. And of course remember, this is an ASMR video about football or soccer, and you can close your eyes and fall asleep if you want to, you don't have to watch. Okay, the African Cup of Nations, it has been an absolute cracker so far. I haven't been able to watch live matches, but they've decided that they've sold the rights, and I can watch it this year, and I've been loving it. It's been a tournament of absolute shocks so far too. Let's take a look at some of the results, and then we'll look at the table. So, Ivory Coast, they're the host, and they're one of the favourites of the tournament. They struggled a little bit against Guinea-Bissau in the opening match. I genuinely feel as though there were opportunities in the match for Guinea-Bissau to get a couple of goals. I thought Balde had quite a poor match actually. I thought he had more opportunities to get a goal than he thought he would get. But in the end, the home team did struggle a little bit, but they got there. Let's have a look at the for context, Guinea-Bissau were playing on a counter-attack, so they weren't keeping possession, as you can see. But they did have total shots 10, 10, 4, 3 on target, so their expected goals was quite low, because when they did get into the goal scoring opportunities, they often just like shot well wide or fell over or something. But they actually played some nice stuff going forward. The counter-attacking football was really lovely to watch, and they played it around quite nicely when they did have possession. So I think I think they gave the home team a little bit too much respect, and yeah, I think that they've got potential to cause a little bit of a surprise to the other teams in this group. Well done to Ivory Coast though for winning. It's quite nervy when you're the host. Seko Fofana's goal was absolutely superb, and Crasso second was good. This pen is being weird today. Okay, next up, the first of the shocks. Again, being one of the favourites for the tournament, Nigeria, with a squad stacked with talent, particularly African Player of the Year, Victor Osimhen of Napoli up front. When they take on tiny Equatorial Guinea, the only Spanish-speaking nation in Africa, they actually went 1-0 down to begin with. Salvador with the goal. Osimhen literally scored from the next kick-off, and then it just didn't look like it was going to happen. They huffed and puffed, but they did not blow any houses down. 51-49. They did have a lot more shots on goal, but yeah, they should have had more goals, 3.5 expected goals, but they were a little bit toothless up front. I know that they, before the tournament, lost their Bayer Leverkusen striker, so Osimhen is kind of doing it by himself. But all the same, well, they brought on Onuachu, who's a fantastic striker, but on the 90th minute, he was far too late. Oh, I know what has happened. I put a new screen protector on this, a glass one, and it's playing up with my pen. Okay, stop playing with the pen. Next shock, same day, Egypt against Mozambique, 2-2. The reason this is an even bigger shock is that Mozambique have never won a game in the finals of a tournament, of this tournament, and they were seconds away from beating Egypt. They were 2-1 up, and rightly so. Egypt, again, huffing and puffing, but not doing anything. Lots of possession, 21 shots, but only 5 on target. Salah didn't have a great game. They say man of the match, but yeah, he scored the penalty in the 96th minute. But I did feel when watching it, sorry Egypt, that it was a bit of an undeserved point for Mozambique. So this point of the day, Mozambique are thinking, wow, the third place team can get through, just like in the Euros. So we've got a point against Egypt, who are one of the best teams in the group. So when we go against the next team, when that big game, if we can get a result against them, then surely we can get through. Cape Verde, we can beat them. Cape Verde go and beat Ghana in the 91st minute with a cracking header. Ghana, again, one of the outside favourites for the whole tournament. Fantastic team. Cape Verde, counter-attacking football, did the job. Actually, they had... No, not counter-attacking at all. They had better possession, 53%. Should have scored 3 goals. Yeah, they just matched them. Which, when you compare the size of that country and its footballing history, that's a massive, absolutely massive result. Gary Rodriguez, now how do I know his name? Ankaragucu. Where's he played? Oh, Al-Ittihad, Fenerbahce, Galatasaray. LJ. Yeah, so big shocks on that day. So I thought, okay, big shocks on one day. Sure, it'll finish up. First match of the day. Current holding champion Senegal. They hammered Gambia. 10-man Gambia. The player got sent off by VAR for stepping on the heels of the Senegalese. So 3 goals. Apparently, this was Gambia's biggest loss ever in the AFCON tournament. So that in itself was kind of surprising. Senegal looked really good for their money. So one of the teams that would like to feel that they can... God, I'm really struggling today. Can get into the latter part of the tournament. Cameroon, again, held back, losing to Guinea up until the red card. Francois Kamano got sent off after they had scored and were winning, and then Magri scored by a lovely cross by Nkudu, but again Cameroon couldn't get the winner. And to be honest, the theme has continued. Algeria next, going against Angola. They were winning by a goal from Buneja. Everyone's thinking Algeria will totally win this easily. Angola score a penalty in the 68th minute and hold out. And it gets even more interesting. This one is a fairly, 96th minute winner for Burkina Faso. Mauritania nearly got a massive result against a near neighbour. But then this is the big one. Tunisia, again, you usually think they're a quarter-finalist at the very least. Beaten on the 80th minute with a fantastic header. Lovely cross by Namibia, who I think have never, like Mozambique, have never previously had a win in this tournament. So the way that the African teams did brilliantly in the World Cup, think Morocco for example, Tunisia beat France, we are having that situation in the African Cup of Nations where the smaller African nations are now punching above their weight. Mali beat South Africa 2-0. I'd say on paper that's a fairly even match, so that's quite a big result for Mali. And at the minute, oh, okay, Tanzania had a man sent off, and Morocco are not gonna jump onto their underachieving gravy train. They have to be surely one of the favourites for the tournament. And then DR Congo, Zambia are the final match tonight before we go back into match day 2. At the minute, I would say Senegal, Morocco to be in the final together. And semi-finalists, I'd say Ivory Coast. And as for the other team, I'm not sure. I'm not convinced on this Egyptian side, even though they made it to the final last time. Maybe they'll warm into the tournament. Cameroon struggling, Algeria struggling, Tunisia really struggling. Nigeria, I'd say probably with the squad that Nigeria have, they'll probably do it. But their next game, I think, Nigeria's next game is against Ivory Coast. They've drawn their first match. If they lose that one, they're in big trouble. And there are similar stories in other games as well. Ghana lost. If they lose again to Egypt, surely they're going to struggle to get out of the group. Cameroon, same situation. They drew with Guinea. If they lose to Senegal, they're going to have to really struggle to. They're going to really struggle to get through. So, lots of really interesting stories in this year's AFCON. I highly recommend it. If you're in the UK, then you can watch it. Some matches are on BBC and the rest are on Sky Sports. Okay, let's go over and do a little bit on the Asian Cup then. So it's taking place in Qatar. They're the host tournament. They're the hosts of the tournament. My outside bet already, I'm just going to say it, is Japan to win. But I think other teams with a good chance, Iran, particularly how they started, they looked sensational. Australia, Qatar themselves, and obviously Korea. An outside chance of someone like Saudi Arabia. And Vietnam impressed me. I don't think they'll go all the way, but they did impress me. Iraq impressed me in their opening day. And I've always got a little bit of a penchant for Uzbekistan. Always the bridesmaid and never the bride. They make it to quarterfinals and semi-finals far more often than they should, and they've got a really good team. So those are my hot picks. I'm thinking Japan, but I would not be shocked if we had an Iran, Australia, Korea, Qatar, or what else did I say? Saudi Arabia in the final. Let's look at some of the results so far then. So Qatar beat Lebanon pretty easily 3-0. Australia beat India 2-0. Stalemate in the other two games, China, Tajikistan 0-0, which is a pretty result for Tajikistan. Uzbekistan drawing with Syria. Syria, they should have beaten them, they were all over them at points. It was a good early start from Syria, but you can see 66% possession, 14 shots, but only 2 on target, so... but none on target from Syria, but they did well, Syria. Very plucky Vietnam took Japan all the way. They were beating them 2-1 at one point, but Japan went up a gear. UAE beat Hong Kong 3-1. There were points in the match again in that one where Hong Kong looked as if they were going to get something out of the game. They were 1-1, and I think the third goal was a little bit harsh. And Iran beating Palestine 4-1 And to be honest, they looked sensational. 12 shots on goal, 5 on target, 62% possession. Palestine, plucky, did as best they could, got a goal. South Korea struggled against Bahrain, a tiny country in Asia. I was a bit shocked at that. Son missed his only chance to get a goal and he was offside anyway. But Kang In Lee looked really good in the central midfield, from Paris Saint-Germain, of course. Much like India, if Indonesia were as good as their fan base, they would be world champions. They love their football there. Iraq, however, spoilt their day. They beat them 3-1 and looked really good. Some of the goals, I think it was Hussein's goal at the end, was absolutely sensational. Try and catch that online on the official Asian Cup channel. It's a lovely volley, because his head got his leg right over the top of his head to volley it in. It's fantastic from standing. And then Malaysia lost 4-0 to Jordan, who looked really good as well. But I'm not going to, at this point in time, start saying that they're outside favourites or anything, but they looked really good, played some nice football as well. Thailand did really well. They're an emerging football nation in Asia, getting more teams in the Champions League and getting further than ever before, beating Kyrgyzstan 2-0, and then the neighbours against each other, local derby, Saudi Arabia against Oman. Oman got a penalty and went ahead, soft penalty if I have to have my opinion on it. Probably correct, but soft. And then Gharib scored a lovely dribble, dribbled through all of them and got into the back of the net. They were all over them, Saudi Arabia were. I thought Oman might get an absolutely sensational draw, but in the closing moments of the match, Saudi Arabia, 96th minute, scored the winner. And then Lebanon, China, 0-0. Oh, the same match as before. Oh no, the second. Oh, did they play today? Oh, that's why I haven't seen these. Lebanon drew China. So China played 2 games, haven't scored a single goal yet. But Qatar managed to get their second win, so they are through already. Tomorrow, we've got Syria, Australia. So the Socceroos are at it tomorrow. I'm going to predict a win for them. Uzbekistan, India, I think Uzbekistan should win that. Palestine, UAE, it'll be close. I think the UAE got a much better team, but we'll see what happens. Iraq, Japan is going to be interesting, as is Vietnam against Indonesia. Hong Kong, I see Iran winning that easily. On match day 1, Jordan played a lot better than South Korea, so let's hope that South Korea have warmed up now and start playing better. Malaysia got hammered by Jordan. I can see Bahrain getting a win there. And then Oman, Thailand to win that one, but it'll be tight, maybe a draw. Kyrgyzstan to lose against Saudi Arabia, and then we're back around. So, as I said, I think my pick for the tournament is going to be Japan. Definitely on paper the strongest team. I'm going to say that along with them, South Korea have the potential, but they started slowly. Saudi Arabia, potential to get deep into the tournament. Outside chance of Iraq getting deep into the tournament. For me, Iran, depending on how... So Group C, let's see the knockout. 1B, so I do 1C. So 1C, come out down... Oh no, 1C, yeah. So 1C come out down there. Against 2 be determined. Alright. So they could meet 1E in the quarterfinals. 1E. South Korea. That's going to be an interesting one. 2 very good teams. Where do Australia come out in the draw? 1B. So they would get 1F in the quarterfinals. Saudi Arabia. Yeah, I can see Australia going quite far in this tournament, actually. But my pick for the second is going to be Japan or Iran. And my hope goes with a good year for Uzbekistan. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that video. Click like if you did. Drop me a comment. Tell me who you think is going to win the African Cup of Nations and who's going to win the Asian Cup. And subscribe and join me on Patreon if you want to support the channel a little bit further. But for now, thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you really soon. More videos on both these cups to follow.